I'm Jacob Lisinski, the Venture Investment Manager at VentureCrowd. Today, I'm joined by Brendan Lyle, the co-founder and director of Calceus Health, an AI-powered healthcare company focused on detecting and preventing life-threatening conditions like diabetic ulceration and cardiovascular disease. So Brendan has led businesses across Australia and the US, covering operations, finance, government relations, compliance, and more. And with a background in law, he's served as an executive and a CEO in both private and ASX listed companies, specializing in technology and manufacturing. And it's an absolute pleasure to have him here to answer some quick fire questions with you all today. So through its growing ecosystem, Calceus Health is advancing early detection, preventative care, and improving outcomes across critical health issues. Calceus is currently raising $2.5 million with VentureCrowd, offering approximately 3.7 million fully paid ordinary shares at 66 cents each, with a pre-money valuation of 11.57 million. These funds will support product development, regulatory approval, and operations. And I can pass it over to Brendan now. Brendan, how you going, mate?
Mate, we're doing well, Jacob. Well, for Thursday afternoon, that's a fantastic introduction. I hope I can live up to
it. I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will. All right, let's kick it off and get into these questions. So the first one, what problem does Calceus solve, and how does your solution address it?
So, Jacob, we've got two products. So we actually solve two problems. We are solved for the early detection of diabetic foot ulcers through an at-home sensor-laden orthotic that sits in the patient's shoe. And the second problem we solve is at-home monitoring of patients with heart disease or ongoing heart problems. So both of these are uninvasive wearables that are worn by the patient at home. In the terms of the Vibe Heart product, it can actually be used by the patient while they're asleep. The data from each of the devices goes back to the patient's phone and then up into the cloud, and it's monitored by the patient's healthcare professional in their clinic.
Excellent. Cool. And how large is the market opportunity for Calceus?
Well, diabetes and heart disease are in the top 10 causes of death in our primary country of sale, which is the United States. Cardiovascular health being number 2 and diabetes being number 8, depending on male or female. So look, for better or for worse, there is a massive market for both products. We have 34 million people living with diabetes in the United States, and we have 42 million people living with heart disease in the US. So both of our products are attempting to help people with these diseases to live better lives and to reduce the cost of these diseases to the economy. The scalability of the product is really the aim of our game. So we have a single piece of technology which both products fit back into, and the piece of technology is able to monitor the data that flows from the devices that's gathered from the patients.
Excellent. And a question on everyone's mind, how much has Calceus share price appreciated since the last raise, and why should investors continue to invest?
So we had a pre-seed raise at 33 cents in 2021. This raises at 66 cents, as you pointed out earlier, Jacob. So the price has doubled over the last 3 years, roughly. Now, many medtech companies like Calceus actually become more de-risked the closer they get to regulatory approval. So Calceus is in the very positive position of having a clear line of sight on FDA approval into the United States. So believe it or not, getting into the United States for a medtech device, or for both of our devices, is a lot easier and a lot faster than getting TGA approval here in Australia. So with 18 times the market in the US, it's the obvious choice for us. So we're now on not an if, but a when we'll be selling these two products. So why should investors invest here? We're expecting to see a faster rate of growth than we've seen in the last 3 years, because we've now, what we would believe, largely de-risked the product from a regulatory perspective.
Awesome. And what differentiates Calceus from the competitors in the space?
Look, while there are a lot of wearables out there in the market, there are none of them that focus directly on diabetic foot disease or cardiovascular disease with our AI technology. So we are leading the field in both of these products. What we've seen from our practitioners is that the fact that we're able to give them results from their patients in an at-home setting, away from the white coats of the doctors, gives you a far more realistic method of reporting on their overall effects. Jacob, I'm sure that if you go to the doctor and the doctor puts the stethoscope up to your chest, your heart rate beats that little bit faster. It's the exact same effect. We're looking for those realistic outputs that you'll get when people are using the devices on a day-to-day basis.
Awesome. That sounds absolutely excellent. Now, some of your secret sauce. What's your business model and your revenue strategy?
Okay, so we sell our devices to the patients. The doctors of healthcare professionals recommend them. Our devices, once they're approved by the FDA, we expect them to be on the insurance lists, both public and private. But what we tell our investors is that we're a connected health company at our root. So what we're interested in is the collection of data and the analysis of that data. So whether it's the steps of our patients, and we're measuring pressure, shear, and temperature in the feet of our patients with our diabetic foot disease sensor skins, or the Vibe Heart, where we're taking measurements of a patient's chest. What we're interested in, the more data we can get, the better we can get towards understanding the patterns that these elements will produce. And the more patterns we can identify and link them back to certain health events, the closer we get to our holy grail, which is predictive technology. Being able to predict when someone's likely to have a heart event, or being able to predict when a diabetic is likely to suffer from a diabetic foot ulcer. That's
awesome and inspirational. What key milestones has Calceus achieved to date?
We have finalised the design of our sensor skin product, which has been a big effort. That has taken a lot of input from a lot of endocrinologists, a lot of podiatrists, a lot of general practitioners. So we've really been able to finesse that product down into something that the market will want and need. We've been running trials. We've run 2 sets of trials on this product, and we've been able to work on our patent and bring our patent through to being published. Our sensor skin product is the first in market to hold a friction or shear sensor within the foot, which again, by a lot of podiatrists and endocrinologists, is regarded as the holy grail, because it is that slipping and rubbing in a patient's foot, which is the catalyst for an ulcer. It's the beginning point, or the genesis of that point. So being able to identify that through our patented technology has been a huge step for us.
Awesome. Now, we've heard a little bit about you, Brendan. Can you take us through a little bit of your founding team and what are their backgrounds?
Sure. Well, we've got 2 other founders. We've got Clem Johnson. Clem is the managing partner of his own business based up in Clontarf in northern outskirts of Brisbane, called Reed Print Technology. Clem is a specialist at sensor technology, and he's the one that has derived the patented shear sensor. He developed our hardware, both in sensor skins and in Vibe. So having the ability to make changes to our hardware by simply picking up the phone, Clem can make a change to it before lunch. Whereas many of our competitors, if you were making a change on a piece of medical technology, you would be sending it away to offshore, for instance, and be waiting 6 to 8 weeks for it to come back with a prototype. So we can really just get that on-time manufacturing happening, which is fantastic for our turnaround. Additionally, our third founder is Rob Mackay. Rob's a data scientist by training. He's been involved in a lot of startups, valuations of up to $100 million in total, and it's got a real track record around Australia in that venture data science area. So, I'm sort of very lucky to have 2 very intelligent people with me on this journey. Outside of that, we've got 2 individuals who lead our product teams in the Vibe Heart sector and in sensor skins. So we've got Dr. Harry Gagagami. So I'm trying to always nail that, but that's a bit of a slip. He's an AI specialist who specializes in certain patterns that are derived from patient data. And we've also got Amy Evans, who's a long-standing and accomplished medical engineer. So They both run their teams and bringing the products to market. And they, again, do a fantastic job, very committed to the overall cause of helping patients with their health.
Awesome. Fantastic team behind you and beside you. Now for a little bit of a technical question, I guess. What's your current customer acquisition strategies and what is your CAC, so cost per acquisition?
Sure. So, Jacob, the patients are referred to our products by their treating healthcare professionals typically. So whether it's in a hospital and a patient presents to the emergency department with a foot ulcer and they're promoted or they're provided with an option to take a sensor skin in each foot, and that way they can monitor at home the health of their recovery and the health of their foot as they do recover. And similarly with the Vibe Heart product, the device can be prescribed to patients and they can take it home, wear it on their chest, and the doctor is able to assess how their heart rate is moving. If you take, a classic example is a doctor may wish to amend or adapt a patient's medication. So having the ability for the doctor to see what the effects of that change in medication does on a day-to-day basis to a patient's heart through this at-home monitoring is really a game changer for the industry.
Awesome.
So look, I suppose to answer the second question about how we get this out, it is prescribed. We're looking to have these products funded by private and public health insurance in the United States. But the response that we've received from the diabetic and cardiovascular medical sectors has been amazing. These two sectors are always looking for new technology. The ability to measure a patient's health at home has always been something that they've strived for. And away from the surgery is exciting for them. The term that they often hear the doctors use is a game changer. So that's something that we're quite proud of.
Awesome. Sounds great. What's your current financial position and how do you plan to use the funds raised? I touched on a little bit, but could you just go over that?
Sure. So we're seeking 2.5 million and roughly a third would be split between product development, regulatory approval and operations of the business. What we are hoping to do, and we're a fair way through this, is we have been accepted into the federal government's industry growth program, which is a 50-50 matched funding for small innovative companies. We feel confident on being successful with this grant for two reasons. First is that the companies first of all, this grant is specific to companies with manufacturing capabilities, such as us. And the second is that medical technology is one of the federal government's priority investment areas. So combined with those two, we're hoping that the $2.5 million, we're able to say to investors, every dollar you put up into us will be matched 50-50 by the government. So that's the grant application that we're proposing. We're walking down right now.
That sounds really, really cool. Now, what are the key risks and challenges facing Calceus and how are you planning to mitigate them?
I suppose a key risk, Jacob, is we're entering a highly regulated market in the US and we're based in Australia. So regulations change. We've got some very good advisors who do specialise in regulatory work for the Food and Drug Administration, but things do change. We have got obviously a new president in the United States at the moment, and there's a new Health and Human Services presumptive nominee over there. But from our perspective, all we are hearing is that we're looking at less regulation and not more. So having said that, we keep a very close eye on the changing landscape, but I would identify that as one of the key risks that we need to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly. Now, kind of taking a long-term look, what are some of those long-term goals for Calceus? And from even an investor's perspective, what's your exit strategy?
Our exit strategy is to collect data. We are collecting data on patients. We're collecting data on patients' hearts. We're collecting data on patients' temperature, friction, and pressure on each step they take for diabetic foot ulcers and the identification of them. This is a connected healthcare company. So the more data we collect through the more sales of the devices, the more valuable we are to other connected healthcare companies. The big guys have just started to come into the market. The likes of Apple and Google are now quite large in the connected health sphere. So our aim is to build up a database and find that holy grail of predictability of those two issues. Luckily enough for us is that selling these products in its own right is a profitable outcome. So we do sell devices, we do make a profit out of them.
Gotcha. Yeah, Apple and Google, there's some pretty big players there. Be interesting. So what kind of thoughts have you had around those partnerships?
Look, they've got connected health on a lot of other elements. So we've seen some in hearing, we've seen some in optical. We certainly haven't seen anything relating to podiatry or measuring foot health. So we see that we are able to form part of this. And you know, the whole idea at the end of the day is that AI will take over and be able to make a better prognosis than what your GP or specialist can do. And we would like to be part of that solution. So we're a small part of it, but we think that we're an important part of it.
Excellent. I think you've done an excellent job in answering all those questions. I appreciate it, Brendan. That was really, really good. And really thank you for sharing those insights today.
No worries at all, Jake.
Yeah, it's been a real pleasure kind of learning more about Calceus as well, especially as I'm involved in this deal and all the exciting things that you guys are doing. And for anyone watching this, if you want to learn more about Calceus Health or get involved in their fundraising campaign through VentureCrowd, be sure to check out the links below where you can express your interest and get access to additional material on the deal. Brendan, any final thoughts from you or anything you want to express to the audience?
Look, this is a lifelong venture for many of the people that are in here, and we're doing this not just as a commercial venture, but also because it helps real people, and we're really hoping to see the results of that as this product grows and gets into the market.
Excellent. Sounds fantastic. I'm super excited. And again, to anyone else or to everyone tuning in, thanks for listening. And please reach out to me directly if you have any additional questions. I can get to those straight away and create a direct line to Brendan as well. So until next time, take care, everyone.
Thanks for your time, Jacob.